So I'm currently training for my first marathon, Manchester, on April the 19th, with a goal to go sub 3:15. I only started running in August 2023, so this whole thing is still pretty new to me. I wanted to document the process, the build, so you can follow along and see how it goes. I've always been pretty into fitness. From when I was 13, I went to the gym. I was very into strength, bodybuilding, weightlifting, trying to gain muscle. From about the age of 13 till right up until August 2023, when I started running, I basically avoided the cardio machines, and my whole purpose was to gain muscle, gain strength, gain size. And if anything, I shied away from cardio, as I thought I would ruin the gains. Back in August 2023, I came across Hyrox, and I started looking at it and thought it looked pretty interesting. It was a combination of cardio, running, and also strength. At this time, I was around 31 years old, and how I'd really enjoyed the gym and strength and building muscle, I was starting to become aware that for my overall health and longevity, it would probably be important to incorporate some form of cardio. So I think that was why Hyrox came around at just the perfect time. So in August 2023, I signed up to my first Hyrox. January 2024, Manchester Hyrox in the men's open division. I then proceeded to make the mistake that most people make when they sign up for a running event or sign up for their first Hyrox, and directly the next day I went out for a 10k run far too fast. It wasn't long before I started to struggle with shin splints, so it was a pretty standard pattern for me. I would build up my running, I would get to around that 25 kilometers point per week. My shin splints would become too much, would become unbearable. I would stop running, I would go to a physio, my shin splints would improve, and I would then begin running again with the same build and intensity as I did before, which inevitably led to shin splints again. That was pretty much on and off for an entire year of trying to build up my volume, struggling with shin splints, having to back off, and I was never able to consistently build my volume or build my pace or running ability. So just to give you a little summary, I've since competed in 3 Hyrox Men's Open. I did Manchester in January 2024, finishing with a time of 1:23. I then did Maastricht in 2025, finishing with a time of 1:14. And very recently, I did Manchester once again back in January of this year, and I achieved a time of 1:09. Over this journey of Hyrox and competing in a few Hyroxes, along the way, I really started to enjoy the endurance side and enjoy the running and how that made me feel. I think over the years of doing strength training, that was very familiar to me. I was very comfortable doing strength training. I progressed very well, and I considered myself reasonably good at weightlifting and strength training. I think what I really enjoyed about the endurance side and the running side is that it was something new and it was a challenge. So I still have plans to compete in other Hyrox events, but right now I'm really focusing in on the running, with the goal of the Manchester Marathon, April the 19th, to go sub 3:15. So to give you a little context to my life outside of running and training, I am a business owner. I co-run an electrical engineering business with my wife. I have 2 children, a 5-year-old girl, a 1-year-old boy, and life's pretty busy, as you can imagine, between the business and the kids and the family life and all the responsibilities that come along with being an adult. I really have to be smart with my training and planning and trying to fit that around things. So this does mean early morning workouts. Sometimes it means juggling work responsibilities and family to fit those workouts in. But I think this structure and the training and having that as something to focus on is really important to me, particularly with the stresses that can come with running a business. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate and really want to focus on that and keep it within my life. So as I said, I started running back in August 2023, had a reasonably choppy start. I think it was around 12 weeks ago when I was actually able to really get into the consistency of running, and the program really came together. I really focused on going back to the minimum volume, making sure to have exercises within my routine to avoid shin splints, strengthen the key muscles such as the calves, and really slowly built up that volume to the point where I am now. I think going into Manchester 2026, my running was definitely the best it's been. It still was, pretty average compared to the world of running, but it was definitely my best performance from a running perspective. So then straight out of Manchester, I've gone into the marathon build. So my philosophy currently, I train 7 days per week. On Monday, it's strength and easy cardio. On Tuesday, it's an easy run. Wednesday is a track session, which can be VO2 Max or threshold, usually alternate those two. On Thursday, it's strength and easy cardio again. On Friday, it's my tempo/marathon pace day. On Saturday, it's once again an easy run, the shortest of the week. And on Sunday, I do my long run, and that's where I can have a long run at easy pace, or sometimes a long run incorporating some marathon pace sections or marathon pace finishes. Right now, we're 6 weeks out from the Manchester Marathon, and the focus really is building that mileage gradually so that the shin splints don't reoccur, there's no other injuries, and also really trying to make that marathon pace, which for me of a goal of sub 3:15, is 4:35 per kilometre. So it's really trying to make that pace feel easy, feel boring almost. So this week we had 2 big sessions. We had a VO2 Max session on the track, and we also had a big marathon pace session. That's the VO2 Max session done. 5 times 4 minutes of VO2 Max, aiming for around 3:55 to 4:05 pace. I think we hit them all around that 3:55 pace. The training load's high, stress is pretty high this week, but the effort was good. The heart rate was good at the max. It was pretty steady, and it felt like an overall good session. Later in the week, we had a key session, which was 3 by 20 minutes at marathon pace, which is 4:35 per kilometre. We started with a 15-minute easy warm-up, then we moved into a dynamic warm-up, some leg swings, some hip circles, some walking lunges. I did my warm-up on the track because I was doing this workout around the park, local to the track, so I thought it was a nice, consistent surface. We then moved into some strides before moving into the first reps. Rep 1 felt good, felt controlled. We then moved into a 5-minute float between reps at 5:15 per K, and then we followed from there with rep 2 and rep 3, all around that 4:35, 4:36. Really happy with the session. So that was a great workout. If we have a little look at the stats, firstly looking at the intervals, the first interval was an average pace of 4:36, the second interval was a pace of 4:35, and the third interval was a pace of 4:36. If we have a look at the heart rate, I noticed as I was checking the heart rate as the workout progressed, in the first rep, we were sitting just below that 150 point. When there were some hills, the heart rate did go up slightly, as is to be expected, but it would always come back down after the hills, which was encouraging. I then noticed gradually as we went through the intervals, the 20-minute sections, that the heart rate was getting slightly higher, but it was only by 2 to 3 beats. And I think by the last interval, we did hit a peak of 163. Again, that would have been on one of the hills. But overall, the heart rate was holding very steady. And from an effort perspective, it didn't feel hard. At times, it did actually feel pretty automatic, pretty boring, which is exactly what we're trying to achieve as we build into this sub 3:15 marathon. We also got our marathon shoes this week. We used them in the marathon pace workout. They felt great. They're really light, really springy. Felt like I had a really great easy turnover in the workout, and overall they just felt really smooth. So that's a week of the build with 2 key sessions. We're currently around 6 weeks out from the marathon, so there's a lot more important sessions to come. So I'll continue to document the build week by week and see if sub 315 is a realistic goal. Let's see how it goes.